You're more like a unicorn.
Welcome to On the Block with Jen. This episode is going to be, per usual, controversial, but we have amazing people on the panel today. Okay, so it's going to be good. Like it or love it or leave it alone. I am Janicia, and welcome again. I have Koi Cook out of Vegas. I have Carlos out of Vegas, and Mel Roberson. You're in Chicago?
Chicago, yep.
Chicago. So we got Chicago in the house.
But I used to live in Vegas.
Used to live in Vegas. Oh,
Yeah.
so we're waiting on Coach Kelly, who always has an amazing point of view, and she's also a life coach. She's a little late, so we'll just bring her in whenever she pops on to the panel. So if you guys read the caption or the title of this episode, I basically want to explore Breonna Taylor's romantic relationships, which I call ride or die relationships, and I'm going to explain to you why in a minute, but I wanted the perspective of some gentlemen and just how they view relationships, especially in our community, because I think the relationships in our communities are a different dynamic. I'm going to go into that as well. So, gentlemen, welcome. I'm so happy that you are here. I handpicked you guys. Just so you know, this wasn't random. I handpicked you guys because of your activity on social media. And I said, okay, these are the men that I want to have this discussion with. So welcome. No pressure. No pressure.
I like Coy face already. Like, okay.
I'm thinking about what I posted when she asked me to do this. I was like, what did I say that had her? Because I posted something and she was like, where you been? I said, and now she said that. So I'm like, oh, shit, what'd I say? Okay. I think I'm ready.
Okay, guys. So the first question I want to ask, I'm jumping right into this, right? As you know, Malcolm X said the Black woman is the most unprotected, disrespected one, right? We've all heard that quote, right? We've all heard that quote. Do you feel that it is your responsibility and duty to protect the Black woman in general? Or do you feel like that's too much pressure for you because no one else asked that of any other race of men? How do you feel about that? Do you feel it's your responsibility or your duty? Mel, I'd love to start with you.
Absolutely. I am a girl dad. So my mom is one of 6, and it's 5 girls, 1 boy. My dad is one of 16, and he has several sisters. I have several female cousins that I grew up with like sisters. And so I've always been of the protect the family mindset anyway. And any of my women friends, you know, romantic or otherwise, will tell you that I am like super big on the respect factor and protecting women in general. I do think it is our responsibility. You know, if it is their responsibility to nurture the community, then it's our responsibility to protect the community. And, you know, there's a certain level of trust that has to go along with that for that relationship to be able to work. I will say, too, though, and it's not even a caveat. I mean, this goes for anybody doing anything dumb. You know, it's one thing to say, all right, we have a responsibility to protect our sisters and protect our women. It's another thing to say we have the responsibility to protect them when they are not acting like women, like when they are instigating and talking crazy and being loud and obnoxious and stuff that's unnecessary. Not from a personality standpoint, because some people are that way, but if like if we're in a restaurant, right, and somebody is getting belligerent, like if there's a woman that's getting belligerent and going crazy and all types of other stuff just because of something that could have been talked out or whatever. And I know everybody has a different threshold for this. Like I think there's the best way to say it. There's a certain level of responsibility that people have in order for us to be like, we need to protect them. Just like there's a certain level of responsibility for the ride or die concept. There are certain things that are certain expectations that need to be met in order for us to do this. It can't be a thing of, well, I got the protection of my brothers, so I can just go out and do anything that I want to do and bring the drama to us. if it's not I'm bringing the drama to a situation, then yes, I'm all for protecting our community and protecting our sisters.
Koi, how do you feel about that? Do you feel that it's a valid request that you should be responsible for protecting Black women, or do you think it's too much pressure because people are so?
Definitely not too much pressure. I definitely believe it is. I don't like the word responsibility, because almost like how he says all the situations are different. So you say responsibility, I kind of feel like it's like right or wrong, like jumping in there and stepping in. I do believe it's something that should be done when necessary. But there's certain situations like where Black women don't necessarily need our protection, because they got it themselves, and that's one of those things where it's kind of touched on where it says like we don't protect them. I think it's a fine line where some dudes don't know when to step in and when to and when not to. So it's tough, but I definitely do believe we do have our part where it is necessary. When it is necessary, we should and we need to.
Carlos, how do you feel about that?
I'm a co-sign the brothers here, Mel and Koi, on believing that it is our responsibility to do so. As far as the responsibility and knowing when to and when not to, I think there is a fine line, because we do have a lot of Black women that say, I don't need no brother, do nothing for me. But in the reality of it, I think we all need somebody to do something for us in some case or another. But we just have to know when that it's a time and place for everything. I do believe strongly that we still have to support regardless. Sometimes, as I think Mel was saying, is we have to know when to step in, even when they're being a detriment to themselves. And I think it's very important to understand that position, because sometimes we can go too far and we don't know when to pull back. And you do need a brother to step in and be like, hey, my sister, or if it's your girl, hey, baby, it's kind of, you just pull back on this one. Let's talk this thing out in order to resolve the situation. We don't want to be hyper. And so we're getting there slowly but surely. But I think I think it's more of our responsibility to start teaching the young boys how to respect women. And I think that is going to take a whole different game once we teach them how to do it appropriately based off what we learned.
Okay, so now are you guys just gentlemen, and you're like, if you see a woman in distress, you're helping anybody, or does race play a factor? Are you like, no, I am the protector of Black women, period? Or is it just I'm a gentleman, I'm gonna jump in regardless?
I'm gonna take just the first. I'm going to try to help women regardless, but I am going to look at my white sister a little bit more like, hey, listen, you got to work that shit out yourself. See how this unfolds, because I believe they are actually the most protected in society, to be in my opinion. So they don't really need us to run and jump at every whim to try to help them, where our sisters are and minority sisters are dealing with some issues that go beyond that. So yes, I think we should be able to help all women, but in some cases you got to pick and choose when to enforce that.
Koi, how do you feel? Are you just gonna be down for the sisters, or is it a gentleman thing for you in general?
Gentleman thing, but I'm gonna help out others quicker than some. I'm gonna help mine first, so they don't. I'm not letting it escalate as far. So, and that's just me. I kind of agree with what Carlos said, where others get a little more leniency, and at the end of it, when it's all said and done, they're probably gonna get the benefit of the doubt, as opposed to, another situation. But sometimes you see them videos that they post where somebody steps out of line, and the person stepped out of line, you could tell, like, oh, she in over her head. Like, how come nobody help her? So that's a situation where I would probably have to jump in there and help my people out.
Melha, how do you feel? Are you just a knight in shining armor?
I mean, although I do have my Cap Alpha Psi Achievement Night shirt on.
You can't do it now for day. You can't do it.
I mean, I'm just she said knight in shining armor, and I was just showing my my shirt.
Okay.
That's all I was doing. But but so my Instagram handle is the total gent. So all in all, am I a gentleman? Yes, I am. So I had two MBAs, one in management, one in human resources. And in our human resources studies, let me get technical for a moment before I give my answer. We learned and talked heavily about protected classes within the workforce, because there are some people who unfortunately do not get the benefit of the doubt or are looked over based off of physical disability, based off of age, based off of a variety of factors. And so certain things were put into place to make sure that these protected classes had protection. Unfortunately, in the society that we live in, that has not been the case for people of color, for our Black and brown people. So I am a gentleman, absolutely. If there's a woman in distress and I may be of service, sure. If there's something I can do, I mean, again, everything is a case by case scenario, but if it's something I could do, I probably would lend a hand. However, if I do see somebody that looks like me, and I think this is kind of a general thing, we do tend to gravitate towards or want to do more towards people that we identify with, right? So if I'm on the highway and cars have been zipping by and there's a woman who has a flat tire or something like that, and I'm looking at all these people zipping by, especially if I have the time, then yeah, I'll pull over, do my best to help, so forth and so on. Because, unfortunately, we have been put in a position where we don't have the same resources, we don't have the same help, we don't have all of that stuff. So I am a gentleman. I am willing to be helpful, but if I see somebody that looks like me, am I willing to probably go above and beyond the call of duty a little bit more? Yeah, in most situations that's probably accurate, if I'm being 100% honest. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's helping parents.
Karen,
Well, it's a difference between a Karen and a Felicia. You know what I mean? A Karen is belligerent. A Karen is probably gonna call me a nigga. So of course I'm not gonna help a Karen. Like, kick rocks barefoot. You know what I'm saying? This is just not gonna happen. But if it's Felicia and she's kind and she's appreciative, then yeah, Felicia can get some help.
Okay. All right. So I want to dissect the ride or die, right? Because coming from where I come from, I think it's a huge staple in our communities, the ride or die, to the point where, just so everybody knows, I grew up in the South Bronx. We called a ride or die by any man in our neighborhoods. It's a badge of honor. It's like something that we're proud of. It's like, yeah, I'm the ride or die. And men, put those women, those quote unquote ride or die women on pedestals. It's like, and I'm talking about nitty gritty neighborhoods. Like, yo, give it to her, give it to Jen, she'll hold my gun. Yo, give it to Jen, she'll hold the drugs. Give it to Jen, she'll come pick me up from the whatever. And it's almost like girls that come from the communities we come from, we strive for that. We want to be the ride or die, but I think that it's a lot of pressure for us, right? It's a lot of pressure for us from men, right? And I don't think that men realize how much pressure it is. And going into now, we're going into the muddy waters now. When I look at Breonna Taylor and I look at her romantic relationship, I found this profound, okay? I found it profound that after, and this is going to be triggering, this conversation is going to be triggering. I'm warning you now. So if you're easily triggered, I suggest you leave the live now if you're watching. But I found it profound when her boyfriend was arrested and the police officers pulled him outside. They asked him, who shot the gun? Almost like a reflex, he said, she shot the gun. Shot the gun. And this is on video. This isn't rumors. I know this, the Breonna Taylor story has a lot of rumors and misinformation going by, but it is on video. You can look up the video. You can pull it up. It's on police body cam. And they pulled her boyfriend out of the house. They immediately asked him who shot the gun. There was a lot of activity going on. He said, she shot the gun. She shot it. Now, I found it profound that even while this woman was laying dead and he knew she was gone, that he still managed to throw the fault on her, like a reflex. He didn't think about it. He didn't say, I don't know who shot the gun. He didn't say, what gun are you talking about? He automatically said, she shot the gun. I didn't shoot, she shot. Now, of course, as we know later on, as the story developed, he regretted saying that. And he said he just said it because he was scared. But I found it interesting that his reflex was automatic to blame her for it, even though this is the woman that he loved. You know what I mean? Even though this is the woman that he cared for, he automatically threw it on her. And also, her ex-boyfriend, she had still been in communication with him and helping him out, whether it was her letting him use his address or holding money for him. And that is in no way, shape, or form saying that Breonna Taylor was a criminal. I just think that case was a perfect storm, right? But I feel like the men in her life failed her as well, in my opinion, right? I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for it, but I just look at the case as is. She was riddled with bullets. He wasn't even great, yet he shot the gun. So what do you think about, do you like your women to be ride or die? And what does that mean to you when a woman is ride or die? Because remember that we only hear that in our culture, in our community, the ride or die. So what does that look like to you? I'd love to start with you, Coy.
Ride or die. That's a whole another like part of the culture that I wasn't. I wasn't raised like upon. You know what I mean? Like my mom worked hard to keep me out the streets. So that whole ride or die culture, that's intense. Like you said, a ride or die. Usually it's criminal activity going on with that. So I don't have any kind of experience with anything like that. So if I was going to say like a girl's like ride or die for me, that's something like if I lose my job and like she'll hold me down until I can get back on my feet. Like that's the extent of my ride or die. Like you don't have to hide no drugs, no guns, nothing like that. So yeah, so as far as that term goes, I don't have too much experience like with the ultimate extent of that term. So I really don't, to me, that's everything you just told me right now about how you did her and everything like that. How, you feel like the men in her life failed her. I somewhat agree with that. But yeah, to me, that's crazy that there are people out there that live under those circumstances.
Carlos, how do you feel? What's a ride or die to you?
I didn't grow up in that atmosphere either, but I was fully aware of what the ride or die meant in my world and around people around me. So I knew it was two different terms. One was like what Coy said, the other one was the criminal activity of it. And my interpretation of it has always been that a ride or die was a woman who just held it down for you, like Coy was just saying, when you fell down and until you could get back up. I've never had anyone hold drugs for me or my pistol, but I would expect for her to hold that too, just in case I needed to go down to the courthouse for something. I mean, if we together like that, then just hold this for me. Don't take no case from it, but just hold on to it for me. But I think it's one of those situations where that definition can be defined by whoever's in that, whoever is in that type of relationship, and they have to establish what a ride or die is for them. And if that includes some illegal activity from a woman's perspective, she has to understand that, if that's what he's expecting, if she's down for that. With regards to the Breonna situation, it's very unfortunate that she was involved with not one but two bum-ass men that one allowed her to initially take the blame for shooting when he clearly was the one who shot. And then the other was willing to let her hold the drugs or whatever, allegedly, that brought the police to her door. So those are two failed situations, in my opinion, and where that ride or die it went completely wrong. And now she's unfortunately not here to speak on it. And those two dudes are still living and moving on with their life. So I don't think that's necessarily fair.
Okay. Mel, how do you feel about the ride or die concept? Is it our responsibility to ride or die for you no matter what?
I won't say it's a responsibility. I will say it's a choice, right? You got a choice whether you hold drugs for people or not, whether you are involved with your reference group, the 5 people that you hang around the most, the people that you let in your circle. And I grew up in an environment where, I was around it on a regular basis. I got shot outside my own house my senior year in high school. So, I've been in it. And in those situations, even when me getting shot, I got to look at the choices that I made in order for it to be that. So it's 2 parts of it, right? So there's a person desiring a ride or die, and them having a certain level of accountability to that person. And then there's the person who chooses to be a ride or die, and them knowing that the term is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, there's the possibility that I'm gonna die in this situation based off of the activity and the things that you bring to this relationship, whether it's romantic or otherwise. So, I don't think that it's a person's automatic responsibility to be a ride or die. I think it's a choice. And ultimately, I think what the term means is you want somebody that's going to be there for you no matter what, right? And that person has to realize that no matter what comes with whatever I'm into, and they have to be a judge of character to say, all right, based on what I know about Mel, is he going to do something dumb that's going to, like, I don't mind the ride part. I really don't want to die, but if it come down to it, I'm all right with it. But I really don't think he's going to put us in that type of situation. Like, my ride or die is going to be like, well, we're going to figure out a way to embezzle this $800 million. No, I'm just kidding. For those of you that are out there, just joking, feds that are watching right now.
Solid ride or die.
Right. I'm gonna get a knock on my door right now. Yeah, but you got to know what the other person is into that you're riding and dying for in order to be able to make a decision. You know what I mean? Like some of my buddies that I grew up with growing up, some of them not even here now. You know what I'm saying? I knew that there was a chance that based off of some of the stuff that we were into, this just might not go well. And unfortunately, I lost some friends in my teenage years. Unfortunately, I've had people shot in front of me, and that was the thing. But as I grew and as I developed and as I matured and as I realized, after I caught hot lead myself and was like, yeah, I don't think I like the feeling of this. Like, I think I'm gonna chill out a little bit because this ain't for me, dog. I realized that my tolerance or my level of ride or die was different. When you almost die, you be like, oh, this is for real when they say that. Right? I think I just want to ride. I don't want to die no more. I just want to ride for a little while.
When I get out the car.
Yeah, like Boys in the Hood, man. They had to get him out the car, man. You go back to Furious. You go back to your daddy. You can't be the one to go on this mission. All right. And y'all excuse me if I'm snacking. I ain't ate since breakfast, so I put my stuff on mute.
No, please eat. If you guys are watching, you have any questions for the gentleman or myself, feel free to ask, por favor. I am here for it. Gentlemen, do you think, because I think y'all do, I'm speaking for the women, I think y'all do, right? But do you think that you put too much pressure on women to ride for you? Do you think you put too much pressure on women to ride for you? Because I've seen, and I'm sure you guys have seen too, on social media especially, and just in general life, guys put women who ride or die on a pedestal, right? They put her on a pedestal. While the girls that are like, no, I'm not down for that, and you're going to have to get your life in order and then come back and get me, those women get berated. But the ones that are down for like, hey, I'll pay his bills, I'll go I'll take a bullet for him, I'm going to hold them drugs, I'm going to hold that gun. Those women are put on a pedestal. So are men responsible for putting women in danger? Anybody?
I'm not going to say. I think also what Mel said. You have a choice to make in your life, and then nobody can force you to do that unless they holding a gun to your head or they beating you every day. It's a whole different situation. But if you know what they're into, and they're asking you to do things that go against your beliefs or your trust system in how you think you should handle something, then you've made a choice as to how you want to move forward. So I don't think nobody is ultimately forcing someone to do that. What I expect of my woman is to meet me where I'm at, or vice versa. I meet her where she's at, and then we grow from there. It's a give and take in that aspect of the game, and there's not even any forcing in that. Either one of us is going to do it, both of us are going to do it, or we both going to find a way to go find somebody else that we want that fits that bill. So it's just that simple for me.
Mel, do you think that men just culturally put too much pressure on women to be down no matter what, whether I'm broke, whether I'm sick, whether I'm trying to hide drugs, hold this gun? Do you think that men put too much pressure on women to be a ride or die while praising while dissing the women that won't, that don't want to do it?
I can't speak for all men, right? So what we're doing is we're taking something at a cultural level, looking at an aspect of it and trying to put a blanket statement over everything, right? I can only speak to the caliber of woman that I'm looking for and the caliber.
Record.
Not all, so, right? Not all.
So I got my sign. Don't worry about it. Speak.
Okay. Okay. So, are they putting too much pressure on women? I think you find your tribe, right? I think there are enough people out there that have the ride or die attitude, and enough people out there that have the this is what I'm expecting attitude, where they can come together. And then excuse me, I think there are enough of us that are like, listen, I'm gonna be responsible, you're gonna be responsible, we can come together and we can make this thing work. You know what I mean? So from a ride or die standpoint, I get it when men, or when women want men that are financially stable and that can do these, do all of these things. Like, I get that aspect of it, right? But I also get it when men are like, okay, I got it. So this is what you want. What is your contribution to this relationship? You know what I'm saying? Outside of sex, because that is available in wonderful abundance. You know what I mean? That doesn't, it has to be more than that, right? So you look at, what do you contribute? What do I contribute? How do we come together? And is this a fit? And, and then we are ride or die for each other, meaning that whatever comes our way, we're going to handle it. Again, as long as you're not doing something that's arbitrary to our relationship. You know what I mean? As long as you're not bringing the drama our way, as long as you're not on some infidelity stuff, or, whatever the case may be. So yeah, do I think it's too much pressure? No. I think that there are people that want a certain thing, and there are people that are willing to give a certain thing, and when they find each other, it's magic. And if you ain't the person that's willing to give what they want, and vice versa, then it's just not a fit. That's what I think.
Coy, how do you feel about, do you think, because it's very common for the ride or die woman to be praised? How do you feel about it? Do you feel like it's too much pressure on women?
No, I don't think it's too much pressure on them. To me, at this point, we've seen enough ride or die situations where it really doesn't work out. So I don't really think anybody should be pressured to do so, especially when more times than not, like it's a one-way street. You know what I mean? Like, the female's being asked to ride or die. Like, it's never the dude. So if they haven't figured it out by now, that it's not as glorious as it seems. So no, I don't think there's that much pressure. And like Carlos touched on, as far as less like people trying to talk to people that they don't need to be talking to, like somebody either below or above where you're at. Like, we should meet somebody who is on your level and then let it take off from there. Like, you have women who aren't necessarily where they want to be, and they're reaching too high, and and they want to do who's got. I think we had this conversation before. They want to do who's got his own place, his own car, You know, he got all his own money, but but they stay with their mama, or they got 2 or 3 roommates, and they all got their kids together, and they on Section 8, some shit like that. Like, it's the whole ride or die thing. I don't.
Now we
talking about Section 8. Oh, okay. All right, carry on.
I'm sorry.
You already apologized.
No, I was saying it to you.
Okay, no, hey, I
definitely.
I love the honesty. I love the honesty because that's a great segue, Coy. That's why you're here. That's a great segue. Because I do believe there are lanes, and I do believe things work best, like Mel said, when you stay in your lane. If you stay in your lane. But I think all of us, if we admit, have been guilty of not being in our lane and then getting mad about it later. Right? Because none of us are wealthy here yet. It is coming though. I can feel it. But I feel like a lot of us have done that. A lot of us are guilty of that, where we've sometimes fished and threw the hook out too far. Have we not? Or everybody you fish for within your lane.
What do you mean by throwing the hook out too far?
Is that me?
Elaborate so I can.
No, all of us, everybody, whoever wants to answer. What I mean by that, Mel, is that we were talking about, okay, you were saying everybody has to find their tribe, right? Someone may ask of you and you may not be down for and be like, look, that's not for me. Coy Cook mentioned, a woman may want a guy with his own car and his own house, and she may be on Section 8, living with her sisters or her mom or whatever. So
So she threw the hook too far.
Right. According to Coy, she threw the hook too far. Right? Because she's like, I think, Coy, are you saying if she's on Section 8 and live with her mama, she should only try to date a dude that's like on Section 8 and live with his mama?
No. That's not what I'm saying. She can go wherever she wants. But she can't have rules and stipulations where she was like, I'm not messing with no dude in my situation, is what I'm saying. So she can go for whatever because she can have a bunch of other stuff that's good for her, that's good qualities, but she can't rule out messing with a dude that's on her level. That's like me, because Jen, we talked about this too. I'm not a tall man. That's like me saying I don't want to date, a short woman. I mean, I can say that, but then I sound like an asshole. Okay. So yes, I'm not saying she can only date a dude in her situation.
I think that's different. Like you can have a preference. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
have a preference.
You can have as far as height is concerned, there are some tall women that like shorter guys. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's different than something you can work yourself out of, bro.
I said that's true. But that's like, let's say like how you said there's a preference. Like I don't think you can be shallow and then get mad at somebody else for being shallow is what I'm saying. Kind of like you can't look at somebody else's financial situation and say you want that when and say you don't want somebody like you when you're in that situation is what I'm saying. Okay. I just probably could have found a better way to say it.
Right. No, I think you said it the first time. It's just they just may not like it, but you said it exactly the way it needed to be said. And so, hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I guess
I got a question in the comments. It says, I want to know if y'all think that this case is about the cops shooting Breonna, or is it about her being in a situation that would typically create the potential for what happened to her?
The cops shooting Breonna is a separate situation and conversation for, in my opinion, for the situation with the two dudes. And I say that from this perspective. Breonna wouldn't have been in that situation had it not been for the drug dealer boyfriend, because he was either running drugs, and again, this is alleged that he was taking drugs over there she was holding. So the cops wouldn't have been at her door had it not been for him. with regards to the cops shooting Breonna. I think that was extremely excessive under the circumstances and based off the amount of bullets that went into that apartment. So to me, that's a whole different situation that the cops had control over versus how did Breonna get in that situation in the first place. If that makes sense.
It does. Mel, how do you feel about that question? Do we think that this case is about the cop shooting Breonna, or is it a situation that she would typically create the potential for what happened to her?
I think it's about both. I think that the police handled it improperly. I think that there was a protocol and a way to go about doing it that they did not follow. I think it was evident in the way that they treated him after he was arrested, and people were saying how they messed up. And first they, treating him like a suspect, and this other cop is like, oh, you want some water? Are you okay? And all of that other stuff. So I think it's about both. Again, I'm not blaming her, and I don't know what conversation she had. I don't know enough about her or the situation. Everything that we're getting is secondhand, right? So we're making assessments about a case that the majority of the information in regards to her relationship with both the guys, we're making assessments based off of what we've heard, what we've been told, and we don't know the degree of accuracy of any of this information, really. So it's speculation at best. Could she have made some better choices as far as the people she hung around? Yeah. Can we all make some better choices about the people we hang around? Absolutely. Right. Was that enough for her to lose her life? Absolutely not. Should the cops have handled it differently? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Was the blind firing and all of that stuff? I mean, you are trained to handle it in a particular way. Handle it the way it needs to be handled. You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, you just do something different, right? So that whole I fear for my life and I get away with stuff on this whole police culture. Listen, if you're scared, you don't need to be an officer.
Period.
If that's your thing, you just don't need to be. And I got law enforcement in my family, right? That I'm very, very close to, that are good officers. So yeah, but to answer your question again, I'll go back. I think it's honestly about both.
Okay, Coy, how do you feel about
it? I feel it's about both, but primarily it's about the shooting for me. Because I don't care why they're at somebody's door. I mean, that's no excuse for them to handle it the way they did, and like they said, like you guys said earlier, like they were like whether she's dating a drug dealer or whatever the situation may be, there's no excuse for them to handle it the way they handled it. So I'm gonna say it's about both, but primarily the shooting.
Okay, so since he asked all of us, I'm gonna say I've always thought the Breonna Taylor case was, like I said when we first started, was the perfect storm, and I feel like the tragedy is that after she was killed, it just seemed like a smorgasbord of everybody trying to save their own ass. The ex-boyfriend, the new boyfriend, the cops, while this woman laid there dead, it's like everybody was for self. I mean, to the point where she got blamed for the shooting. The ex-boyfriend is in jail saying, oh my God, I left some money over there. How are we going to get the money? These are documented phone calls from the prison. So that's sad for me, where it's like this woman lost her life and it was the perfect storm. And I just want to, just put it out in the open, because I know I'm a woman that has been the quote unquote ride or die in those very dangerous situations. But it was something that felt good, because you want to be the person that someone can call and count on. And I think that women, we get caught up in that continuously. And that's why I captioned this video. I don't think we realize how dangerous a ride or die could be. And I don't want women to think that it's something that we should aspire to be, some sort of ride or die to the point where we can end up being like a Breonna Taylor. So to answer the question, no, I don't think, it was her fault that she was murdered by the police department, and then how corrupt the investigation was. But I feel like there were layers to it, like her choices in who she associated with, the corrupt police department, the blind firing, like Mel said, the fact that her boyfriend shot and then ran for cover. Even though he says he didn't, run for cover, we know that her body was riddled with bullets and he wasn't even grazed. So even if you don't believe cops ever and you believe him, you have to think, you know what I mean? Just logistically, the man wasn't grazed and she was riddled with bullets. I don't think you have to be an expert forensic, scientist to know how does your girlfriend get riddled with bullets and you don't even get grazed, but you said you were holding her hand. So, I think even half a brain would tell you, you weren't where Breonna was when the blind firing was happening.
He said he was holding her hand when she got shot?
Yeah, he said that because they asked him, so what did you do after the shooting began? He said he grabbed her hand and hit the floor with her. But the police officer said that he saw him shoot and then jump into an adjacent room. So just putting 2 and 2 together, I would assess, and I wasn't there, like you said, Mel, I would assess that he shot and then jumped for cover, and she was kind of like, deer in the headlights, which is how she ended up getting shot multiple times, and he doesn't even have a graze. So we have a cop shot outside, we have Breonna riddled with bullets, and we got the boyfriend who the cop claims jumped into another room, but the boyfriend says, no, I was holding her hand. We were both on the floor. So it's kind of like, that's heavy.
Matrix bullets is what happened.
Say again?
Those bullets that go around. I forgot the name of that movie that was going around.
Oh,
yeah, and he didn't. It's no way. There's absolutely no way he came out unscathed if he was by her at that particular time. But again, I know we're making assumptions, but that's a fair assumption. There should be a fair assumption to make that he was not in her vicinity at that particular time.
Yeah, that would sound right.
Yeah. So I thought that was, I thought that was real heavy. But when that little tidbit of information came out, although he says, hey, I grabbed her hand and we were both in the same place and we both hit the floor. I was like, wow, and it just took me back to that whole ride or die thing, because I guarantee, she was down for him. He was in love with her, right? And it seemed the way she was still looking out for the ex, she was that ride or die. Even though I'm not with you anymore, you can use my home address or you can use my address to rent this car. And I just want to take the glamour out of that saying. I just want to take the glamour out of it. You know what I mean? Because it's very glamorous in our communities. It is very glamorous to be the ride or die chick in our communities. I know, I've been there, right? Okay, so
I don't think it should take the glamour out of it. I think people, again, it goes back to what Mel said earlier. I think people have to understand what that means, essentially what it means for them, and understand where they're going with it and how it's a choice as to what they want to do. If they want to make it glamorous, then you do that, knowing that there are chances, like you said earlier, that there's a ride and then there's a die. It ain't just ride. It ain't just ride and you get out when I get to the next stop. It's ride or die. So once you realize that die comes into play, if that's the game you want to play, then fine. If anything, we need to change the terminology for those who don't want to die. But I'm here with you, and I'm willing to ride with you through thick and thin on some legal shit, and we can figure that out or not. So we just got to change the terminology.
I'm a ride as long as you ain't stupid.
Right.
When you stupid, I ain't riding no more.
that's what it should officially be changed to. I'm a ride
as long as you ain't stupid.
I like that one better.
You put that on a t-shirt, ride till you're stupid.
Right.
Okay, Johnny. So I want to know, since we're here, what's a ride or die to you? Coy, what's a ride or die to you? What does a woman have to endure with you?
Endure with you. What is she gonna do? In other words, let the women go to what kind of bullshit.
To do anything. What'd you say?
Coy, you froze.
There you
go.
Now. You back.
Okay. You back. Okay. No, to me, I'm not going. I don't expect a female to do anything for me that I'm not willing to do for her. So, die is definitely out of the question. Like I said, I lose my job. I lose my job. Hold me down. You lose yours, I'm gonna hold you down. That's about as bad as it's gonna get with me. Anything worse than that, I'll see you later.
Okay. Now, what if, or let me challenge that. Now, what if she's like, oh, you know what? When I met you, you had a job, and I didn't really sign up for a man who doesn't have a job. How do you feel about a woman saying, peace out, because this is not the life I want? I don't want to ride for a guy that doesn't have a job. What would your response be?
Well, it depends on how long I didn't have a job. If I just lost my job, like today, and she left, I was like, she wouldn't fool me no way. Now, some months, some years went by, then I'm like, okay, I understand. Like, I get it, because I'm same thing. I'm not hanging in there too much longer. If you had employment and now you don't have employment, and you're not trying to get employment, I'm out.
Okay, so you would leave too.
Oh yeah,
Coy, or you would leave too. Okay,
and that's something that I feel like that's before we. I feel like that's something that would be discussed before we even got to that point. Like I'm not just going to like surprise and dip. Like this is something that would this is a conversation that would have had prior to even getting to that point.
okay.
So I'm gonna make sure I understood that correctly. So you're gonna leave after having built something up for years versus somebody you just met and you lost your job? Maybe I missed that. Which one you leaving after?
Well, this is different. Is that the only thing that's wrong? Because I'm thinking like that's like the last straw. I'm thinking the shit already rocky, and then she lost her job. I'm out, and we got something solid. I'm willing to fight and work through that. But to me, like when you say, "Oh, she lose her job," or she gonna leave me because I lost my job, I'm like, okay, there got to be some other stuff going on in the background. For if that was the last straw. Like if we solid, like I said, I'll be patient. But if our stuff rocky, that's the last straw. I'm out.
Okay, Carlos, what's a ride or die to you? What does a woman have to endure in your world?
I don't know about endure because I don't think anybody has to endure anything. You can choose to stick around or not. But in the scheme of things, just endure the fact that this is work. Relationships are work, and if you're willing to deal with that portion of it and understand that everything ain't gonna be great every single day, then we'll be okay. But both of us have to have a positive attitude and try to keep moving forward in that regard. If she loses her job and I have a job and we able to maintain, and I'm cool with that, I would expect the same from her. Is if I had my job for a while and we know how this economy is going, we see how things happen this year with people and how quickly things can change for people. If you're willing to bounce on somebody the second they don't have a job because you thought, oh man, I thought you would keep this job forever, then maybe that wasn't the person for you. Especially if you have built up that type of rapport over years and things are cool. If y'all been on shaky ground, like Coy said, that's a whole different situation that probably both of y'all don't need to be together in the first place because y'all weren't gonna make it anyway. So all she got to do endure with me is patience, some understanding, some patience, and some positivity that we'll get over everything that comes our way. We'll be okay. Just hanging there with me.
Mel?
So I think the vetting at the very beginning of the relationship keeps me from stuff like this. I'm 44 now, and it's like I have all the important conversations up front. What are your spiritual beliefs? What are your family values? How do you treat money? Just all the stuff, right? So I'm not really worried about if I get to that point with somebody, because usually I have enough of an understanding about them and they have enough of an understanding about me to know that if I'm down, I'm not going to be out for long. Like if something happens, and I haven't had a job in years anyway, I'm an entrepreneur. So if one of my businesses starts failing or something happens in the market that directly impacts cash flow in one of my businesses, then whoever's with me knows that I'm gonna figure out a way to make it happen some way, somehow. We might have to do some downsizing. We might not be able to get the new cars we wanted this year, or stuff like that. But ultimately, that's not the stuff that's important anyway. My daddy told me, my dad is from Starkville, Mississippi, so y'all got to understand the Starkville wisdom. He said, boy, just make sure you got somebody that's gonna want to wipe your ass when your ass need to be wiped and you can't wipe it yourself. All the other shit don't matter. So, so at the end of the day, man, you got to look at like what's important. Like I'm not saying finances aren't important. They definitely are important. We all want to live a more than comfortable life and be able to do the things that we want to do, buy the things that we want to buy. Even though the older I get, the less important buying things becomes. My time is more important to me than my money. And experiences are more valuable to me than trinkets. However, I think again at my age, it's more of a thing of how do we treat each other, what do we want out of life, and how do we complement each other as we progress through life. That's my ride or die. If I get sick, my ex, who I was with for years, we lost a baby. Like my son would have been 3 this year, and she lost a baby in a very traumatic way, had an ectopic pregnancy, her ovary erupted, had internal bleeding. She had to have a cesarean cut for them to go in and do surgery. As a matter of fact, the surgeon said had we got her there 20 minutes later, she possibly could have died. You know what I mean? And there was a period of time where like she couldn't work, she couldn't do anything. Like I'm getting the kids off to school. I'm doing everything, because she had to rest. And to me, that's a ride or die situation. You know what I mean? That's when people get sick, how are you going to act? If I don't think I'm the most handsome guy on the planet, but let's just say I was involved in a car accident and my face got maimed. Was there enough love there for me before the accident happened? So now I got stitches or cuts or scars or, my face is dismembered. Was it my physical appearance? What was it about me that attracted you to me? And is that going to make you leave? Those types of situations are things that I'm looking at more so than ain't no drugs in my house. You know what I'm saying? I'm not asking you to hold no drugs. All my guns are legal. You know what I mean? Like it's not like baby hold the gun with a body on it. It's like, no, we both got guns, and if shit hit the fan, we're gonna be all right because we both can shoot and we're both legal. So we're not going to jail on this one. You know what I mean? So that whole block mentality, man, even though I came from it or grew up in it, is I'm just not there anymore. So I'm not looking at the situation like that. My situation is the love, dedication, and commitment. Love, dedication, and commitment. Those 3 things. Outside of that,
when two people get together in the beginning, right? They obviously pursue the relationship because both people have what each other wants, right? Whether it be love, money, house, education, whatever, pick whatever it is that attracted you to that person. That is why you pursue that relationship, right? Does it make someone necessarily a bad person if one of those things changes and the person is like, no, I got with you because of X, Y, and Z, you're no longer that, or you no longer have that. So I would like to go and pursue what you used to be elsewhere. Does that make that person a bad person?
I think bad is a judgment call. And I would have to say it depends on what it is that was lost. You know what I mean? And what it is that we've built, right? So if we 6 months in, you know what I mean, and there's no real super solid foundation, and we don't have kids, and you living in your place and I live in my place, and something changes or whatever, then yeah, that's probably like, all right, we weren't there. We weren't even really there. If it's a thing of, so Jen, let's take the entertainment. Let's take the entertainment thing, right? Like at some point, I'm deciding to like really pursue this acting thing. Okay, like to really, really pursue it, which means that the businesses that I own, I'm going to have to give less attention. So my cash flow is going to be different with less attention to my business. I mean, I got some systems in place, but my cash flow is going to be a little different. I'm not going to be able to do all the things that I'm normally used to doing because I'm not running these businesses to the same degree, but it's for me to pursue something greater. So if she chooses and she's like, well, you had these businesses and we were able to do steak and lobster and all of this other stuff, and we can't do that now, then you were with me for superficial things anyway. You know what I mean? And that's fine. Like if that's your thing and you want steak and lobster, and right now we just own chicken and fries for the moment, and I'm a vegetarian, so I'm speaking hypothetically, right? But that's fine. But when I make it and I'm an A-lister and I'm doing movies with Will and Denzel and all of those guys, don't be like, well, you're back. No.
Right.
No, that's not how this works. If you
don't
can't
wanna
stick
laugh.
with me through this type of stuff, and it was just about the things and not the person, then I'm good.
Okay, fair enough. And for the record, men come back too.
Absolutely.
Men,
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely.
like, hey, girl, I see you working over there. I saw you on
Yeah.
TV.
Everybody sees success differently, especially when they get older. They like, well, shoot, let me go back and see if I can't pick this back up.
Yeah. But see, I'm the type of person that would have stuck with a person like in the fields that I operate in, I'm all about helping people chase down their dreams. So if she's an entrepreneur or an entertainer or whatever, and she's trying to go after that, I want to be a part of the process. I want to be supportive in the process. You know what I mean? Not to get credit for it or not for her to thank me from it, but I love seeing people win and chasing down their dreams. So I'm the type of guy that's like, all right, baby, we just gonna eat ramen noodles together till we figure this thing out. I'm all right with that.
Mhm.
Coy, do you think it's a bad thing? Let's say if somebody got with you because you just live a certain lifestyle or you're funny or whatever it is, and it's like you're a year in and things change for you, and she's like, oh, I don't know. The reason I got with you was because you was X, Y, and Z. So now I'm gonna go. Are you gonna bash her online? Are you gonna throw the subliminal memes up like women ain't shit?
Nah, won't be no bashing if something's gonna happen. I don't know what yet, but there won't be any bashing. I don't like the whole women like the women ain't shit thing when you get your heart broke, because that don't make no sense. Because I really feel when your heart is broken and you say stuff like that, then to me I really feel like it's just a momentary lapse of judgment. You don't really feel like that. You and your feelings, it is what it is. But if you really feel like that, and I think people won't even know you got your heart broke. That'd be my main thing, is I don't want nobody to know I got my heart broke. So I'm not going to just all of a sudden start talking trash. They're like, oh, he hurt. And that's the thing now. Like if you put something out there and like people respond like, dang, who hurt you? And I'm like, sometimes it's not nobody hurt me. I'm like, sometimes shit is funny. But yeah, if I'm with somebody for a year in, and it kind of all depends on what we're talking about here, because sometimes people are justified in leaving after a while. Like let's say I met a girl, and and some men are guilty of this. Like I'm everything she wants. I'm nice, I'm funny, I'm affectionate, blah blah blah. Year in, dude gets bored or whatever the case may be. Maybe I'm not as affectionate as I used to be. So now she want to dip out. But if we're talking about like we're talking about like money or success or status, then yeah, she ain't shit. And you got to find a way to get it out there, but it don't have to be. You don't have to bash her. You don't have to bash her online. I do it with my friends and my mama. That's I need to do it with people who matter, not just strangers.
You know what? I wish more men would do it with their friends and their mama, because I am sick of reading it on Facebook. I do feel like, who hurt you? What happened?
Well, I mean, the same goes for women, though. They'd be the same way.
No, it is. I would never deny that. I see it from women and I see it from men, but I'm sorry, fellas, I see it more from men. You guys took over on social media. You guys took over.
Social media is now the breeding grounds for everybody who don't give a shit.
What do you see?
What, Coy? You froze.
What are you seeing from the men?
Oh, I'm seeing a lot more. Yeah, you back. I'm seeing a lot more gender bashing from men on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Forget about it.
That's because you got more men followers in your feed than you do women.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like I see more from women, but maybe that's
fair enough. True,
So that might
true.
be a theory.
If we were to do a statistical analysis based on the numbers.
Right. No, true, true. Right. I try to get the ladies to come, but they're like,
But you hate Cardi B, so they don't rock with you. You don't like Cardi B, so they don't rock with you.
I hate Cardi B. Like somebody Carlos, how do you feel about that? Let's say I'm in the minority. Let me just say, and you guys are gonna look at me like I'm crazy, but I'm in the minority. I feel like even though it hurts like hell and it hurts real bad, if something switches up in your life and somebody says this is not what I signed up for, I'm out. You know what I mean? I've seen people get burned from head to toe. You know what I mean? And people stay with them, but maybe other people are like, I didn't sign up to look at a burn victim every day. Or if you get in a car accident, I didn't sign up to push a wheelchair for the rest of my life. I totally understand. Does it hurt like hell? Yes, but I totally understand. Some people just don't sign up for certain lifestyles. So I don't think they're necessarily bad or evil. I just think some people want a certain lifestyle, and sometimes it entails I don't want to push a wheelchair around. Sorry you got in an accident, but I don't want to push you around the rest of your life. So I understand that. I'm not like that, but I understand it.
Yeah, I get it too. Like I understand it. The question just becomes if the shoe were on the other foot. You know what I mean? Like, what would it look like if the boomerang of karma swung back around and smacked you in the back of the head and you were the one that was in an accident or something happened or whatever? Like, how would you want to be treated? And then they were like, oh, I would understand it too. Nah, your ass would be standing there crying because dude left you or old girl left you, whatever, because you wouldn't want to be treated like that.
Of course,
but I get it.
And but that's why I said it hurts like hell. It hurts like hell. But some people are just they're not built. They're not built for really dire circumstances, and I get it. Everybody's different. I'm a ride and die though.
You a ride until you're stupid.
And I got to go.
The experience is the greatest teacher, and people don't understand until it happens to them, and then they fully get a full understanding of how they would respond to it. Then, as for me, I have to agree with you, Jen. I would be hurt at the onset, but it's something that I would get over. I mean, quickly, because I would immediately start shifting my mind to then you weren't the one for me. Because if that whatever that thing is what made you left, and we had no other issues, it's just that something fell off and you decided to bounce, then via con Dios, I wish you well. I hope you had the best life. I'm gonna go on over here and live my best life as well. And like Bill and Coy, you said, don't come back around now when the shit start getting sweet, because it will get sweet again for those people who have been down eventually, especially if they're working to get back up. It will come back. And if those people are in the same position that they was in when they left you, they try to come on back. Now you got to tell them, like you say, go on, kick rocks. Ain't no
I'll keep pushing. I'll be in my little wheelchair at the wheelchair convention, like fuck him. Get me a man in a wheelchair. I would keep it.
And it will be some dude, Willie, right up next to you. What's up, baby?
Hey, girl, your wheels look nice. Where you get your chair from, girl?
Trust and believe.
Let's roll out together.
Right. Literally.
Keep pushing. So listen, literally and figuratively. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I am honored to speak to you. I always say I know an abundance of great men, and you proved that here tonight. I do no bashing. We joke though, just like Coy said. We'll throw the jokes out there, but I am my heart is filled because I do know many great men. So thank you for joining me. I would love you guys to leave me and leave us, the audience, with final thoughts on the entire conversation that we can take away. Mel, you first.
Okay, I was gonna do a poem. Let me find one. What are we talking about?
We live in this world of poems.
No, he writes, right? Mel,
yeah, I'm a spoken word artist.
Okay,
and an actor. So yeah. Let me find something. Circle back to me. Let me find something.
I'm gonna go back to Let me tell Carlos. Do you remember the movie that we watched? Where the guy found out the girl had a train ran on her, and he didn't want to.
I used to love her.
Yeah, I used to love. Well, he's an actor in that movie.
I'm Ramadan El Amin.
That is you. Okay.
I love that movie. I love that movie. I always tell Mark Harris all the time, the director who wrote it, I always tell him all the time he needs to do a remake. That's an amazing message, and it's an amazing movie, especially now with.
Why are we gonna do a remake? That's classic, cult classic, girl.
You can play the dad.
Wow. Wow. I just need a shave and some dye. I'm good.
I'm about to be 47. I ain't scared of age. I'll admit it. All right.
I ain't doing no damn poem now. Shit.
Read the poem.
Ain't no poems. No poems.
Boy. What last words would you like to leave us with? Mel, you gonna read that poem. Get a good one. Coy, did you freeze again?
Coy got the cricket phone.
I don't.
Nothing? You got nothing?
No, I'm in the boonies. I'm in the boonies.
Wow. What?
I had something, but you threw me off. You threw me off because the last thing I heard was somebody who got a train ran on them.
That's it.
I was talking about a movie.
It's over. What? Go back to that.
Okay.
Now come back.
I close.
Let's close out for the people. Let's close out for the people.
Look, ride or die is not something. Yeah, I'm closing out. Ride or die is not a thing with me. And I don't ride and do trains either. So if you got that going on, I'm out.
You don't do no trains at all.
That was so poignant. Thank you.
Mine is real quick. Know who you with. I think it's important to know who you with, know what you're getting into, and then you make the choice as to how you want to proceed in regards to that relationship. And once you do that, then you take on everything that comes with that. Now, if you want to get off, so we can't say train, we'll say plane. If you want to get off the plane whenever you want to, then make sure that you got your parachute and you're ready to go. Because it's just one of those situations where people just have to know where they are. So
you don't want
we'll leave it at that.
Mel, can you please take us out with one of those amazing poems of yours?
The next time you text me and be like, "Hey, bro, can you get on the call or get on?" I'm be like, "Nope." Well, first I'm be like, "Who's on it? These two on it?" I'm not. No, I'm done. It's done. It's done.
Oh no, we're gonna get you on another one.
Oh God. So hopefully I can remember this. I haven't performed this one in a very, very long time since we had the topic of protecting Black women, Black and brown women. Mi hermana here. Let me see if I can remember this. So before the beginning of the beginning, Father Time and Mother Earth birthed the idea of birthing a particular earthling. The evidence of this specimen was heaven sent, and it seemed senseless to fight the feeling of being defenseless once you laid eyes on the prize created by Mother Earth and Father Time. The divine design of flesh with the divine erupted into a breathtaking structure appropriately named the Black woman. Her presence gave evidence of the four elements. Earth being her mother, the spirit of the Black woman was covered by a caramel-colored clay, crafted and shaped as a godly display of radiance. And the cadence of her feet stepping slowly yet oh so gracefully through the universe brought joyful smiles to the faces of her parents. Even the angels themselves were in reverence of this perfectly proportioned piece of putty. She was forged in the fire, and that's what made her godly. And oddly enough, the heat didn't damage her skin. It's actually what gave her that gorgeous tint. Originally a beautiful beautifully baked bronze, but possessing a chemical prism in her spiritual makeup that would allow for other shades of beauty to come forth out of future generations. The cooling off process ordered the manifestation of her curves, and blurbs of words could not adequately emphasize how water wrapped around her thighs and hips and lips, her chest and breast, the best, her waist and face were graced with grace, and I suppose her nose, her fingers and toes, though small in size, their value grows. Her clutch, her touch, they mean so much because whatever she holds turns to gold. Earth, fire, and water created, baked, and molded perfection. Air was naturally the last selection, as the wind would begin to caress every hill and valley of her figure, drying off this perfect picture. Pure perfume was the aroma of the sister, and as oxygen kissed her, the galaxies came alive. The sun evolved out of the twinkling in her eyes. The solar system was her rhythm, dancing around planets of granite until daylight itself would vanish, and even in the darkness, her beauty would glow. Life would come forth from every seed she would sow. Divinely responsible for populating Earth, she retreated from outer space and began to give birth to more Black women, reproducing angelic gifts made for Black men. And for billions and billions of years, you have been our present, heaven-sent, magnificent Black woman, often imitated but never duplicated Black woman, not only fine but also educated Black woman. And through the roughest years, we would not have made it without the Black woman. And these words are just to let you know you are appreciated, Black woman. Black woman, thank you for being you.
Mel Roberson. And that's on the block with Jim, baby.
That is.
Thank you so much, fellas. I see Coach Kelly just came in, but we're done, Mama. You missed it. You missed it. We really missed you here today. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Looking forward to doing this again. Coy, Carlos, Mel. Mwah. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Hasta
it.
luego.
All right, gentlemen.
All right.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much, mi gente, for watching another episode of On the Block with Jen. This was amazing. I hope you guys learned something today. And I appreciate you all. Leave me comments, questions, suggestions. I'm here for it. Thank you for peeking in. And share this video. I think it's really important because I've had this on my heart and mind for a long, long time, since I was a young girl back in the hood, and the whole ride or die narrative was floating around. It still is today. So thank you guys for joining me. And till the next time, On the Block with Jen. Mwah.